number represents price first, P&L last. Now, as traders, we all have watched our P&L within a trade. We watch that money fluctuate, and then all of a sudden, we're driven by dollars instead of price. And price is the most important part. So today, I want to attempt to break that habit. The moment your eyes shift from price to your P&L, you lose sight of your charts, you lose sight of your plan, your edge, your discipline. You have to remember that it's price first, your P&L last. Say it again. It's price first, the data, the process. That first, P&L last. So let's get into it. So some of the things we're going to talk about in this session is what P&L watching is. Some examples I'm going to go over. Why it hurts your trading. We're going to talk about confidence. We're going to talk about price or payout. I'm going to give you some tools. Got a game at the end, which I call cut or stay in. And then, of course, we're going to end with that bread and butter, which is just a brief recap of some of the things that we're discussing in today's session. So let's get into it. All right, so what is P&L watching? So P&L stands for profit and loss. But this is when a trader focuses too much on the money they're making or losing. Again, making or losing during a trade rather than focusing on the actual price action or their trading plan. Now, understand when you are watching your P&L too closely, this turns your trade into a gamble instead of continuous decision based off skills and setup. You have to resist trading the dollar and just trade the charts. Now, some examples of emotional P&L watching is saying, I'm up 50, let me just take that. Or I can't take another red day. Or I'm down, I got to get it back. Let me just add a few more contracts here so I can make this money back quicker. A lot of y'all that do that. Or the moment you see one candle going against your trade, then you cut, right? These are all emotional um, things that we do out of emotion, right? Because we're not watching price. We're letting emotion control us when we're in the trade, when we do things like this, right? We got to make sure that we are in control of our emotions. Our emotions are not in control of us. I always say you can trade in emotion, but don't trade out of emotions. You're trading out of emotions. You're allowing your emotions to guide you into the trade, and that's what's going to hurt you. Some other things to why P&L watching is going to hurt your trading is because it's going to cause premature exits or overholding. It's also going to turn your plan into a fight for money instead of execution. It's going to disrupt your decision making and strategy. It's going to create emotional trading. So this is you trading out of fear, trading out of greed. And most importantly, I feel most traders don't feel this, understand how this affects your confidence. Watching your P&L hurts your confidence. How does it hurt your confidence? Well, let me tell you, it's going to train you to react emotionally and not logically, right? So every time you exit a trade because you see red or you hit quick green, your strategy just goes out the window. And this is creating a habit of trading off emotions and not your rules, right? Also, it stops you from trusting your system. So when you keep cutting your trades early or holding losses too long based on the dollar amount instead of the charts, then you're never gonna let your strategy play out. Then you start to think, man, my current strategy sucks. Like it's just not working for me. Let me go find something else. But when at the end of the day, it's not the strategy that's being inconsistent. It's you. It's you. You're failing you, right? It's also building a habit of second guessing yourself. So this is more so when you watch a P&L, you're more likely to question yourself mid-play, right? While you're in a trade, it's just affecting you mid-play, which begins to affect you mentally, right? And then it also gets you stuck in a money first mindset. You understand that trading is about the process, not the profits. The more you watch your P&L, that means you're thinking in terms of wins and losses. And that's what you're using to determine if you're a great trader or not. But you can't judge yourself based off short-term results, right? You can't judge yourself based off the wins and losses. You have to judge yourself on how you're showing up consistently mentally. Are you sticking to your strategy? Are you sticking to your setups? Are you sticking to your plan? That's where you got to be consistent at. It's not based off those wins and losses, right? That's just a byproduct of you sticking to what you're supposed to be doing, right? And then we've all done this is we avoid the good setup, right? So we see a setup that we like, stars are aligning, we're just like, oh, this is the one. But then somehow something pops in our head and we're just like, remember that last loss we took? Or you think, okay, I'm gonna protect my green, so I don't know if I want to take this trade or not. Then we hesitate, or we just pass on the trade completely, right? But this creates fear, this creates hesitation, this creates inconsistency when at the end of the day it affects your confidence, right? And we've all been here. We've all been here, but we think watching our P&L is doing nothing to us, but it is. It's creating these habits that we don't need for us to be successful. We can't have for us to be successful, right? And I know we all do that. We see that setup and we're like, all right, this is it. Then we start thinking like, man, damn, that loss I just took, or I don't really want to lose. I don't know if this is the one, but the stars are aligning, and you still talking yourself out of the trade. Price is talking to you, and you still talking yourself out of the trade. Watching that P&L is not good. It's not a good thing. All right, so are you trading price or are you trading the payout? So you know you're trading price if you're locked into the charts. You're reading structure, levels, price behavior. You're trusting your entries, your stops, your targets, right? And you're reacting based off technical analysis and not your profits, right? Not the cash. Um, you know you are trading out a payout when you start watching your P&L. Your decision based off of how green you are, how red you are. Are you cutting your winners short out of fear? Or you hold on to your losers hoping they flip? We've all done that. And you abandon your setup as soon as money is involved. Now, some tools is you can cover or minimize your column on your platform, right? Or you can like change it from points to ticks. I do that on my chart. Like I have it on ticks instead of points because I can't do that math as fast. Um, when backtesting, keep the focus on the levels, not the dollar amount. I know a lot of traders who, when they're backtesting, they're so concerned about how much they could have made or should have made. None of that matters. The whole purpose of backtesting is the strategy, the setup. That's where you're trying to build your confidence at. Again, the profits is just a byproduct of what you do in the process, right? So be focused on the strategy, the setup, right? If you find yourself in the live trading and you're hesitating to get into the trades, well, you got to build the confidence to where you trust your setup and your strategy. That's the whole point of backtesting, not of how much I could have made, how much I should have made, or I want to see this much of money. Like, no, the strategy, the setup, that's what you're trying to do. Then also using alerts for stops and targets, right? You don't gotta watch your P&L. You got your alerts set for your stops. You got your alerts set for your targets, right? So you don't have to watch your P&L if you don't want to, right? And I don't want you guys to watch your P&L. But before you enter any trade, you should know where you're going to enter, where you're going to exit. You should know your targets. You should know where your stop loss is, right? You should have all this pre-planned before you're looking to get into any trades, right? So if your stop loss, and if you're not familiar where to place your stop loss, go watch my stop loss session. I definitely got that in my channel. But if your stop loss is already pre-planned, meaning you already know how much you're willing to lose, then why do you feel the need to know how much you are up or down? If I already got my stop loss placed, I already got my targets placed, why do you have to watch it on your charts to know how much you're up or down, right? You already know, okay, this is how much I'm willing to lose on this trade. So you don't have to watch your P&L on that part. Well, I'm going to play it to these targets, so I know how much I could possibly make here. It's all pre-planned. And you can be like, okay, well, I trade a prop firm, so I got to know. Again, it's still pre-planned. You know how much you can lose a day. You know how much you can make a day. Your targets got to fit into how much you can make a day. Your stop loss has to fit into how much you're willing to, how much you can lose on a prop firm a day. You already know this, so why you got to watch it? Like that doesn't make sense. If that makes sense to you, then okay. I don't know what to tell you, but you don't need to watch it. Like so stop making an excuse to why you feel like you need to watch your stop losses or you need to watch, I'm sorry, not your stop losses. Why you feel the need to watch your P&L because you don't. You're just making an excuse so you can. And you don't have to. You don't have to. Now if you're trading without any of this information pre-planned, then that's a whole nother thing that you need to fix in your trading. But like I said, you don't need to watch your P&L at all. You know if you're down. You know if you're up. You know where you got in at. You know where you got in at. So price is telling you if you're up or not. Price told you where to get into your trade at. So let that be what tells you to get out of your trade, not your emotions. You control you, right? Don't let your emotions control you. You got to be in control at all time when trading. All right, so this game here is called Cut or Stay In. So I will present you guys with some scenarios, and I just need you to identify, be honest with yourself. Would you cut or would you stay in your trade, right? And where would you cut at if you are deciding to cut? All right, so in this scenario here, we're in shorts. We got in here, we're playing to the downside. We got our stop loss place pre-planned, right? We know, okay, I'm willing to lose this amount. Got my targets listed, pre-planned, right? I already know this before I'm getting into the trade. I'm looking to exit here. I got my stop loss here. I got my entries here. I got my targets already marked. I got my major levels marked, right? So you are up 1,800 before price began to pull back. So now you're slowly losing profit. So 1,400, 1,000, 900, 700. Are you cutting or are you staying in? Now you can pause this, look at all the information, and you can make that decision on where you would cut your trade at. All right, so we must understand that pullbacks are a natural part of trading, right? We know price is going to eventually pull back, but as long as prices does not disrespect anything, then there's no reason for you to cut that trade. Now, if you looked at this and said, when I said, okay, you were up 1,800 and you slowly watch your profits pull away, right? If you said that, okay, 1,400, 1,000, 900, 700, and you cut anywhere in this moment, that's you trading out of emotions, right? That's not based off a plan, right? That's you watching your P&L and you're like, well, I don't want to give back too much. Oh, I don't want to give back too much. No, I'm out. Like that's based off your P&L and not based off price, not based off structure, not based off levels. Now, if you looked at this and said, all right, well, I'm gonna get out at target one. And that was your goal? All right, cool. Get out. Or if you looked at this and say, okay, well, target two is gonna be my exit, and I'm gonna get out the trade here. Again, that's based off a plan, not your profits. That's based off a plan. But you do have some other targets on here, right? But it's based off a plan, and it's okay, right? Price got the target two, it gave a little reaction. All right, I'm gonna cut right there. Oh, cool, okay, cool. It's based off a plan. Or if you said, okay, I'm gonna get out when price get to the VWAP or my level of support, I'm gonna get out there. Cool, based off a plan, because price doesn't have to get to your exit. It doesn't have to get down here, right? It doesn't have to. But again, based off a plan. Or if you said, all right, I'm gonna get out here. Price hit target three. All right, I'm good with that. I'm gonna get out. You know what I'm saying? Hit my target. I'm out. Cool, based off a plan. Even if you said, all right, I'm gonna get out here and I'm gonna let price set up again and I'm gonna look for another entry to play it to my final target. Cool. Based off a plan. But saying, okay, well, shoot, I was up 18, now I'm only up 14, now I'm only up 1,000, or now I'm only up 9, or I'm only up um 700. This is you watching your P&L. That's not based off a plan. That's based off your emotions, right? And again, our entry is here. So we don't need to watch the P&L to know if we're up or down. Long as price is going in your favor, you know you up. Long as price doesn't hit your stop loss, you know you're good, right? Even if price started moving back up this way, you know you're down. You don't got to watch your P&L to know that. You know your stop loss is. That's already pre-planned. I know how much I'm willing to lose, right? If I have all that in place, why do I got to watch it? Why do I gotta watch it? Right? Remember, we're trading price, we're trading chart, we're trading structure, we're trading levels. We're using the information on the charts to decide if we should get into the trade or not get into the trade, if we should hold the trade or cut the trade. That's what we're using, not our P&L, not our emotions. We got to be in control of our emotions. All right, so this one here, you are in longs. We entered here on this candle here. We got our stop loss placed down here. So this is where we're saying that we are okay with losing if price comes back and hit this area here. We got our targets marked. We got the VWAP, SMAs, resistance. Right, we have all that here. So you were in this play for longs before price begins to pull back. Um, but our pre-planned stop loss has us losing $300. But before price began to pull back, we was up 200, right? So are you cutting or are you staying in? All right, so let's look at it. So like I said, our entry was here on this candle. We had our stop loss placed here. We got our targets, VWAP, resistance. We have price coming off a major level here. So if you said, well, price failed to make a new high, in a uptrend, well, that would be based off a plan, right? We have our high, and then we have a lower high, right? So if we're continue headed to the upside, why would we not take off this high, right? So if you exit your trade there based off that information, all right, cool. That's based off a plan. Now, if you said, well, hopefully this comes back around, I'm already down now. That's not based off a plan, right? That's based off hope. You're hoping price comes back around and pick you up, right? We don't trade off of hope. We trade off of price. We trade off a plan. Now you could look at this and say, well, price did eventually come back around, and you'll be correct. But it's all hindsight, right? It's all hindsight, but based off your plan, based off what price is saying, based off structure, based off levels. Did it say hold? Nope. But your emotion said yeah. But based off price, it didn't say hold. So, but who's in control? Who are you allowing to be in control? So, like I said, based off structure, all right, we made a lower high. All right, next candle, pull back, pull below our entry, pull back above our entry. All right, still not no new high, right? So just reading structure, that's not telling you to hold. And then even here, when price got back below your entry, well, you know you down now, right? You know you down now. You know you down now. You don't have to look at your P&L to know if you're down. You don't know have to look at P&L to know you're up. You don't have to know that. But again, all this is pre-planned. I know how much I'm willing to lose. I know where my targets are. These are all things that are pre-planned, right? Just let the play out. Let it play out. And I don't want you guys to be so stuck on this L that you possibly took here because you're going to miss your next opportunity, right? You can't be so stuck in no L that you took, no win that you took, because you're going to miss the next opportunity. Look to the left. This is a previous area of support before price bounced off. Now you got price back at this level again. Don't be stuck here and you're gonna miss this. You're gonna miss this. And this is definitely a better entry than the one that we took here. So you gotta understand it's always gonna be another opportunity. You just gotta let price set up for you and you just have to execute. But what's not going to be there is your capital if you continue to trade off your emotions. So keep those L's small. You got to protect that bag. No matter the size of the bag, you got to protect that bag. Patience is what pays. Discipline is what pays. Sticking to your plan is what pays. That's what pays. The process of everything, how you showing up mentally, that's what pays. All right, so some of the key things that we discussed in this session is the P&L, what it is, and that's when you're focused more on your P&L and not price. And then that's sometimes going to have you to cut your trades quick or hold in hopes of price coming back in your favor. And we don't trade out of hope. We don't do that. Um, which is setting you up to trade out of emotion and react out of emotions. Remember, you got to be the one in control. Your emotions don't control you. You control your emotions. So make sure those trades are based off technical analysis and not your P&L, right? And price will tell you if you're in profit or not, right? You already know if you got in here, is price above or below that area. You already know. You don't got to look at that. And then just make sure all your moves are pre-planned. They should already be planned out where I'm gonna enter at, where I'm gonna exit at, where I'm gonna place my stop loss at, where I'm gonna put my targets, right? Where I'm exiting at. That should all be pre-planned before you get into the trade. So none of that is no thinking is involved on that end. On that side of things, that should already be in place. I already know how much I'm willing to lose on a trade. Now we don't want to lose, but it can happen. We know that's a part of the game and we assume that. So you got to make sure that's all in place before you take the trade. All right, so we have come to the end of this session, and I just want to challenge you guys, just for a week, turn off that P&L, right? And I understand this is hard. It's definitely difficult for me because I like to see the numbers move, right? But you have to understand for us to be better traders, for us to grow into traders that we want to become, we got to get uncomfortable and we got to break some of these habits that we created in our comfort zone. But we got to get uncomfortable and break those habits, create the new winning habits that's going to allow us to become the traders that we want to become. But I challenge you guys a week, turn that P&L off, and it's going to hurt because it's a habit. But we got to break that habit. We got to get uncomfortable. This is something that we must do to grow as the traders that we want to become. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comment section of this video. or you can DM me. But until next time, you guys stay safe and thank you for breaking bread with me.